The fall anime season is right around the corner. In fact, by the time you're watching this, it's probably already started. But not for me, stuck in the past, PD. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about a few shows that I've been watching between seasons. These aren't that old, in fact 2 of them are from this year. Look, it's baby steps, I need to ease into the anime backlog, it's huge. So let's get started clearing it. Welcome to the Anime Hole. You'll already know what 3 shows I'm talking about because they were in the title sequence, so no wordy intros needed. Let's just jump right in and talk about Konosuba. Comedy shows have sort of been my anchor through this anime journey. I've watched 1 every season so far, and I've added a handful to my backlog. It's low risk for me. Chances are that I will like a comedy show more than not. I expected to like Konosuba, I just didn't expect to like it this much. Here are a few limited things I knew about Konosuba before going in. 1, it's an isekai show, but a comedy. And 2, there's this girl who doesn't wear any panties and sometimes her butt shows up on screen. Look, that's what I got. I don't recommend learning stuff about anime from whatever leaks out of anime Twitter or whatever. It's not the way to go. So Konosuba is an isekai anime, maybe the first one I've actually watched if you don't count Digimon. But it's more of a parody of isekai shows. Maybe parody's a bit too far, but it does turn a few of those isekai tropes on their heads. Kazuma, our main character, dies unexpectedly and is transported into a world that is not unlike an RPG. Surprise, surprise. The thing is that Kazuma is useless. He's a nobody, with below average skills except for his luck. He's stuck being your average adventurer, just barely getting by. He has a quest to save the world from the big bad evil, but so does everyone else. And it really only truly comes into play in a few episodes. As you would probably expect from any male anime protagonist, Kazuma has a bunch of girls surrounding him as well. But there's no romance there because everyone is kind of a piece of shit. Kazuma only really cares about his own well-being. Aqua, the goddess Kazuma dragged into the other world with him, is an egotistical idiot who causes problems for everyone. Megumin is a childish, near-delusional mage who only knows one spell and is rendered useless when she uses it. And Darkness is a masochist that fulfills her needs by being the party's tank. Everyone is out for themselves, and that's what makes all these characters weirdly likable. The core of the show's comedy stems from the horrible situations our characters put themselves in and the way they retaliate against each other for it. I am absolutely having laughs at their expense, and maybe that also makes me a piece of shit. It's a match made in heaven. Now that I think of it, there might be some truth to that, because when I see the Konosuba crew, I think of Dungeons & Dragons and other tabletop games. Specifically, the kinds of games that I like to be and have been part of. Chasing fun antics on a whim while pushing the main objective to the side for a bit.
I guess we could get 4 bikes.
If we collect all 4 bikes, we
can combine them like Voltron into a large bicycle to surpass Metal Gear.
Yep.
Ridiculous characters that are essentially walking, talking goofs.
What's PD's character's name?
Paula Dabdul.
Is it really that hard to remember?
I'm a trickster, and then she dabs.
And moments of complete incompetence that end up working out for the party anyway.
Are you prepared to make one final sacrifice?
I jump out and I go, murder me!
He points a finger at you and you just disappear in a flash of light and there's a pile of ash on the ground.
My god.
At some point, Konosuba feels like a show made just for me. The animation style really fits the tone of the show as well. It's very fluid, like literally, it moves like a fluid. Everything is so floppy and exaggerated. It reminds me a little of Adventure Time even. There's a freedom to the movement of everything that lifts up the jokes and makes them even funnier. Even the fan servicey stuff is usually there for a joke to remind us how shitty everyone is. Most of Darkness's flustered moments happen at the most inappropriate times for the cast, for example. It's not there to be titillating, it's there to be an inconvenience. The whole Aqua not wearing underwear thing seems to be something that was mostly throwaway for the first episode or 2, but the internet saw it and obsessed over it. Because of course they would. There are moments of booby physics and the like that I could have done without, honestly, but I've seen so much more exploitative. It was easier to get past in this show. Konosuba is a show that directly appeals to my stupid sense of humor. It got me to buy Nendoroids of the entire cast. Kazuma is in the mail, and I'm still missing Megumin because apparently she's the favorite and costs 3 times as much to buy aftermarket. Hopefully they do a re-release of her next year when the Konosuba movie comes out, because that would mean I can complete my collection. It's worth it for this show. Now, the next show we're talking about isn't a show about a bunch of assholes. In fact, it's probably the exact opposite. A sweet show about characters who really care for each other. Wotakoi. Wotakoi Love is Hard for an Otaku is a character-driven, slice-of-life romance anime. There's some comedy thrown in, but the focus of the show is on the relationships, not the jokes. Our main characters are two couples who all work and hang out together. Narumi and Hirotaka are the new couple, and Hanako and Kabakura are the established couple. What sets Wotakoi apart from what normally comes to mind when I think of anime romance is the setting. These are working adults, not high schoolers. The whole will they won't they drama is avoided completely. Narumi and Hirotaka begin dating in the first episode, and yes, as the title suggests, they are all nerds. Narumi loves boys love manga. Hirotaka is hardcore into video games. Hanako is a cosplayer, and Kabakura is the more casual manga nerd. But these aren't their defining traits, this is just an aspect of their personality. Wotakoi uses this as a jumping off point, the hobby that the group shares as friends, the frame of reference for their jokes. This makes them feel more like real people, not character archetypes who define themselves by their interests. The characters have to navigate everyday situations and relationship issues just like anybody else. Some examples. Narumi and Hirotaka get together after having conversations about living life and having otaku hobbies. Narumi is pretty self-conscious about it. Hirotaka is totally accepting of it. They float the idea around of dating someone who's already an otaku and decide to give it a shot with each other. Now, not only do they have to deal with the usual insecurities of being in a new relationship, but also the worries that crop up from wondering if they're only together because of their hobbies. On Hanako and Kabakura's side, they've been together for a few years now, and their problems in relationship reflects that. Their story arcs deal with things like feeling complacent in your relationship, arguing over small things, but also having a stronger bond, knowing your partner well enough that it makes the rough patches just bumps in the road, not insurmountable obstacles. There aren't any crazy anime relationship issues, these are real human problems.
顔見て恥ずかしくても逃げないようにするから
It's this what helps ground the entire show and makes it feel very relatable. These are things that I or anyone like me who's watching would go through. Spending time together versus spending time alone. Balancing our hobbies with our loved ones. Overthinking every little thing until you're more comfortable with your new partner. If I were to knock Wotakoi for anything, it'd be that it feels a bit lacking in the production department. The animation feels stiff, static. There could be more detail in most every shot. And the timing is just a little off. And I don't necessarily mean the comedic timing. Just overall, the pacing, editing-wise. It feels like everything could be cut a little tighter. But that didn't detract too much from my enjoyment. Wotakoi has a sweet, pleasant vibe. The opening sequence has a very cute moment of everyone taking selfies that I love, and I listen to the ending theme here and there to this day. I ended up really enjoying it, and I think you should give it a try. The manga is also still ongoing, and I don't know if this show is going to get a second season, so there's that to feel the need if you want to keep going. Moving on, last show, we're just going to go straight into talking about Violet Evergarden because I think I have a lot to say about it. I had a completely skewed idea of what the premise was for Violet Evergarden before I watched it. I thought it was going to be a grounded sci-fi drama about an android girl trying to learn emotions. This is almost certainly because when I watched the trailer, Violet has these metallic prosthetic limbs that, for whatever reason, I just assumed were robot hands. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. The show is actually about the titular Violet Evergarden, a former child soldier trying to live a normal life after the war. She's not a robot, but she does lack an understanding of emotion. You see, she was trained to be a killing machine. Her entire life was spent taking orders. She's eventually taken under the wing of Major Gilbert, who actually treats her like a person. During the final battle of this war they're fighting, Violet loses her arms and the Major saves her from certain death, but not before telling her, "I love you." Violet, having no way to properly process emotions, doesn't know what to do with this information. Flash forward some time to this old European-inspired world. Violet is recovering. She hasn't heard from the Major since the end of the war. She resolves to learn what he meant when he said "I love you" by becoming an auto memory doll. Originally, I thought this is what the fighting war robots like Violet that don't actually exist in this universe were called. But no, auto memory dolls are this world's title for ghostwriters. You hire them to write letters to loved ones, songs, transcribe documents, etc. Violet figures that helping people get their emotions on paper will in turn help her get a better understanding of emotions in general. She's not very good at it at first. She quickly becomes the favorite choice of clients though, eventually writing some of the most beautiful letters clients could ask for. Violet starts off as a blank slate, but each assignment of hers shows her emotional growth throughout the show. It almost makes her the perfect auto memory doll. It's not that she doesn't feel emotion, she just doesn't know how to express them at first. I understand this in a sense on a smaller scale. I have trouble putting my thoughts into words. It takes me a while to write an entire episode of the Anime Hole, for instance. But being around other people expressing themselves helps me get a better grasp of my thoughts and feelings. And I see Violet's endeavor as a similar thing, just more dire, more dramatic. I don't want to say much else about how this goes for her because Violet Evergarden is a character drama. The moment-to-moment minutia between each client is the crux of the show. There is a larger overarching narrative between Violet, the Major, and the other characters that were in the war, but that storyline is told at a slower pace, which I like in my dramas. One of the main standouts about this show, at least when first going in, is its look. It's absolutely stunning. It's a Kyoto animation show, which I haven't had a lot of experience with before, but my understanding is that they make some gorgeous looking anime, and it shows. There is so much detail in Violet Evergarden. Everything moves so elegantly. Close-ups show subtle touches that add nuance to interactions. The way light wraps around characters and objects feels akin to how it would show up on film. The attention to detail isn't only apparent in the animation itself, it's sprinkled throughout the entire show, like Violet's arms for instance. Since they're made of metal, they make mechanical noises when she moves around. These sound effects are sprinkled in the ambience of most scenes, even when her arms aren't the focus of the shot. It's a small detail, but a really clever one. Or take the editing, it's really on point. Episodes usually end with a dialogue line that hard cuts to the episode title, and the title directly finishes the line from the previous shot. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. It's simple but effective. Editing in a way is also the art of time manipulation, extending or compressing it. Doing it poorly can really confuse the viewer. That's never the case here. One moment a character's inside, then bam, match cut to a scene where everyone is suddenly outside. It's not jarring at all. It still feels natural. It's these little things that I appreciate the most, knowing how much they add to a piece of work firsthand. In addition to all of that, you would also hope that a show about understanding emotions was, well, emotional. I heard all these stories about people's heartstrings being tugged left and right with Violet Evergarden, and that wasn't the case with me at first. I was absolutely invested in the story and the characters, and the show was making me feel the emotions it wanted me to feel, but I wasn't overflowing with them. Until episode 10.
なんだかそれは良くないもののような気がしたの。
I won't get into spoilers, but the episode revolves around Violet doing some writing work for a sick, bedridden mother. The mother also has a daughter who gets a bit jealous of Violet spending so much time with her. The final scenes of that episode had what were possibly the most emotional, impactful scenes I've seen in any media this year so far. It just grabbed hold of my heart and didn't let go. It's my favorite episode of the series. This isn't me saying this is the only truly emotional scene of the show. There are moments that can be, and I'm sure are, equally as powerful for other people as this episode's final sequence. Episode 10 just hit a very specific note for me in my life that had me sobbing long after the credits rolled. I think Violet Evergarden is absolutely worth watching in its entirety already, but this is the episode that put all the pieces together for me.
それから良くないものでもなかったわ。とっても優しくて。
And those are just 3 of the shows I've been watching in between seasons. I've watched a few others like Darling in the Franxx and Asobi Asobase, but I think it's those 3 shows in addition to the shows I've watched every season that really helped me get a grasp on what kind of anime I enjoy. For one, I like comedies, but the ones that really run with the goofs and blow them up to ridiculous proportions. The zany, stupid kind. I especially like them if the characters are real pieces of shit, but lovable pieces of shit. I also really like slice of life, but I separate that from slice of life comedy. I like the kind of slice of life that's more of a character drama, preferably with adult or young adult characters. And to top it all off, if the show looks real pretty, I'll be more inclined to check it out despite its genre. Aesthetics really do a lot for me. There are still parts of my taste that I feel are a bit too nebulous for me to put into words right now, but I think I have a solid enough foundation to fall back on where I can experiment with other genres in upcoming seasons. Maybe I'll throw in some action somewhere, or maybe some fantasy magical crap. Place your bets now to see how much I experiment versus how much I stick to my bullshit, because the next episode of the Anime Hole will be my fall 2018 picks. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in mid-autumn-ish.